everybody and welcome back. Today is the 5th of November and today, as on Saturday, I had to take a different uphill route. As the uprooted trees are still blocking the trail, and I guess that will be the case for the whole winter, therefore I decided to pick a different uphill route, as the risk of going into the forest where the road itself isn't cleared at all is way too risky, at least for me. I don't want to run the risk that a tree is deciding to fall down exactly at the moment when I'm riding past the tree. So I don't know when I will get back on the old trail. So for now I'm only doing the uphill and riding back down on the tarmac road. So no trail fun anymore. But for now the main focus lies on improving my uphill performance, which is still possible on the tarmac road. Today we had 12 degrees, which is 54 degrees Fahrenheit. Throughout the day it rained slightly and it was predicted for about 30% that it will rain also in the evening, which wasn't the case. So I was pretty lucky as the conditions have been perfect. Like 12 degrees is perfect for me, not too cold, not too warm. I still had to wear my jacket, as especially on the downhill I tend to go quite fast. And the headwind can get quite chilly, so jacket and leg warmers are mandatory. The uphill itself was around 4 kilometers long, which is roughly the same distance as the old uphill I'm doing normally. Today I did a bit of a shorter warm-up, so not 15 minutes but 9 minutes, as my legs felt quite good after 9 minutes, so I decided to save a few minutes so I can get home earlier. And as already mentioned, on Saturday I got myself a new heart rate monitor. It has a lot of nice little features and stats. So far I haven't figured out all of the stats and metrics. Like one is the training effect, which today has been 3.7. I don't know what that means, if it is any good or bad, or if I have to compare it to other rides. So I have to still figure out that. And another thing I figured out is that actually riding at the same heart rate as I'm trying to be in the intense interval of my own heart rate, which is up to 167, I guess, beats per minute. It's pretty hard if I'm continuously looking at my watch, but I found one approach to be way simpler. So I try to see on my watch when I'm actually approaching this 165. That's the beats per minute I try to reach, as I don't want to overshoot that interval, and I try to remember how I feel in the moment. After having known this particular spot where I'm reaching 165 beats per minute, I try to remember that and keep myself as exhausted as I have been in that very moment. So I don't have to check my watch every second, as I found it really difficult to maintain the same heart rate if I'm constantly checking my watch, as there I'm constantly overshooting the beats per minute, or the beats per minutes are way too low. So like listening to my body is the most efficient way to maintain a consistent heart rate. And with the heart rate monitor I found out that actually my trainings before I pushed there way too hard. Like I probably had, my heart rate was probably up to 180 beats per minute, which is way too high. It's already in the maximum heart rate zone, where at least as I know there is not much training effect. So I will have to train in the intense zone to improve my anaerobic performance. And therefore I already thought that my interval training experiment is finished, but I found a new concept which has to be tested. Like I will do 2 weeks of intense interval training, which means like not exceeding those 167 beats during the 5 minutes of intense interval. And after that I will do the reference ride, and then I will add 2 weeks of riding at the maximum speed possible, like as fast as I can during those 5 minutes, as I did already before. But I will have to do that interval again, as I have no reference time on this particular uphill. So the steps are doing this reference ride. I will set a goal of the distance, which will have the same distance as the uphill has to the Ötzi flow trail. And then I will see how long it takes to ride that specific distance. This time I will use as reference time. Afterwards I will do those 2 weeks of intense training. Then I will do the reference ride again to see how much I was able to improve. And afterwards, I will do those 2 weeks of intense riding, which means like maxing out in those 5 minutes and that 3 times. And afterwards, there will be an additional reference ride to see which of those methods have been the best. I assume that I wasn't training at the maximum possible. So like my assumption is that actually the intense training method will bring me even better results. But that's just an assumption. And as you know, I'm not giving you any advice if it's based on assumptions. I will try it first, but so far that's what I think will happen. I will let you know here on the podcast which method actually then brings the best outcome. With that said, thank you for listening and until the next time.